Yo, it's your homeboy Kiiro in the building. Welcome to episode 126 of One Piece Gist. In this episode, I'll be talking about One Piece chapter 782. As usual with my chapter reviews, I'll have a spoiler-free review first. Afterwards, we'll have a more in-depth discussion of the chapter. So let's start the review. This was a good chapter in my opinion. I preferred last week's, but this is a good chapter nonetheless. We had some action, we had some information and some reveals by means of flashback, and we had some story progression, which is really important. I think without the story progression, then this chapter would kind of suck. But yeah, story progression is really important, and Oda was able to include some of that in this chapter. And that's pretty much my view of the chapter. A good chapter, but I preferred last week's. Now let's start the discussion. So spoiler alert in case you weren't paying attention earlier, and the rest of this video will contain spoilers. Cover story, garbage, don't care for it. I care about where Jimbo is headed, and I care about the poneglyph. That's it. Moving on to the chapter, the rest of the chapter, we have the sequence of Doflamingo and Luffy, and I have mixed feelings about this. Now, on one hand, I know Luffy is a combatant. I know he can throw them hands. I know he is good up close. But at the same time, Doflamingo has really hacked fruit, and his fruit can really pretty much negate all of that. And we didn't really see him use his fruit. He was just blocking as if he didn't have no devil fruit, for the most part, and that kind of upset me slightly. But what really surprised me is the fact that Luffy was dominating. I mean, Doflamingo just on defense, he was like just trying to survive the onslaught that Luffy, that Luffy was doing. And the thing is, I'm not even sure if Luffy was in gear second or nothing. So that was not a really good look for Doflamingo this chapter, in my opinion. We did have the King's Haki thing, but I'll get into that in a bit. But here's what really, really gets me. Now, like I said, I'm cool with Luffy throwing them hands at close range. That's what he does. If you're in close range of Luffy, you're in trouble. This is the man that for rubber Bluchi after all. But the main thing for me, the main thing is that generally when Luffy fights someone on his level or superior, that person, the antagonist, usually, dominates until the ending. So Luffy will take like 1 L or 2 Ls and then come back. That's the general formula. And I think, Doflamingo taking these L's early is going to undermine, Luffy's victory. Because it's basically implying that maybe the strength gap isn't all that when it clearly is. So that's what's really getting me. But nothing too significant happened other than that. So that's just my my take on the whole sequence. And yeah, the King's Haki. Now the King's Haki clash was really big, way bigger than the Unchangeable thing. And I would like to point out that I read the early translations, so the later translations may be more accurate when talking about certain things. I think for the most part, these translations are not terrible or nothing. It's very straightforward, but there's some tiny things that I'm kind of on the fence about, particularly about this phrase. Basically, Trebol says you have no chance, you're on Doflamingo's level. Now, I'm not sure if he's talking about King's Haki, because this is right after the King's Haki clash, or just Doflamingo's level in general, because I could see both terms applying. Now, Doflamingo's, level in general, I think that's kind of straightforward. I don't need to explain it. But the King's Haki thing, let me explain. In this chapter, we find out that thanks to Doflamingo's King's Haki feat at a young age, he's able to persuade these, 4 individuals to follow him for life. After seeing his King's Haki, they are convinced he has what it takes to become the Pirate King. So his King's Haki at a young age, nonetheless, must have been ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now you could argue that Virgo was, young, so it could have been an impulsive decision. But there's still 3 adults in the mix, and these are 3 experienced adults because they ended up training Doflamingo and basically doing what they did with Law, which is training and grooming him to becoming a strong character. Just like Doflamingo did with Law, basically. And yeah, so we also find out, I mean, this hasn't been much of a surprise, but we get clarification on 2 things. One is that Trebol's a lawyer, which I've been saying for a long time. I think it's been pretty obvious, but some people try and argue for argument's sake. But thankfully, it's confirmed in this chapter, and I can go back to those people and say I told you so. But the second thing, the more important thing I would say is we get reassurance that Doflamingo is a family person. So according to Trebol, the whole big bad guy, wicked evil thing is all just stuff he does to have the sort of treatment as a ruler, as a dictator from his subordinates, because they will respect him, or rather they will fear him. You know what I'm saying? Rather than respect, I guess fear is the more appropriate term. And he wants this because he wants to be the ruler, the king that these four people, that his family, look up to. And so he wants to fulfill this role and not disappoint his family members. Because according to Trouble, we get reassurance that, you know, um, when he's away from his subjects and all that kind of stuff, the lower classes, when it's just him and the family, they're a real family. And I can definitely believe that, because someone like Senior Pink, I don't think he just joined someone like Doflamingo for no bullshit reason. And we also saw that earlier in this arc when Law used Jura or Jola, whatever her name is, the art fruit chick. He used her as a hostage, and Doflamingo was completely powerless against Law for this kind of trash character. So, I believe this 100%. I don't think the translation is far off from whatever was, written in Japanese and all that. And I definitely see Doflamingo as, having being a deeper character than we think. Now, I'm not trying to justify or condone, all the nasty shit is done, but I mean, Crocodile has done nasty shit as well, and pretty much every villain has done some nasty shit, so we can't have too many double standards. But at the same time, Law spent 13 years for this revenge, so I really don't think Oda is gonna push too much on making us forgive Doflamingo or whatever. But we'll see where this goes. Yeah, back to the chapter. Yeah, that was a really long sequence. Back to the fight rather, because I pretty much covered the flashback by talking about all that jazz. So after the first sequence, we have the flashback, and after that, we have Law. Well, we have Trebol. Basically, sorry, I've really strayed off topic. Doflamingo gets a hit in with his hamstring move, which he's done in the past, and Luffy blocks it with both arms and Haki, and he's about to fly off the building, and Trebol saves him. I think this was kind of a dumb move. Now, it wasn't a bad move initially, because, I mean, even though he saved Luffy from falling off the palace, he did restrain Luffy, so this would guarantee that Luffy had, no means whatsoever of making a comeback. And Luffy wasn't able to punch Trebol because he didn't know that Trebol's real body was way slimmer than his fruit made him look like. And what happened is the glue or the sticky stuff that Luffy was punching was not Trebol. That was stuff he secreted, and because it's sticky, it still stuck to Trebol. So that's not Trebol. That's not part of his Logia body. So that was really smart from Oda, I think. Some people might not get it, but maybe they'll do a better explanation in the manga stream or when the anime comes out. Yeah, so we get that, and we get Law using his fruit, and some people are not happy about Law still having feats. I personally do not mind whatsoever. He is one of the top 3 supernovas. We're not going to get much of Law after this arc. He's going to take a break, recover, and he's going to come back in the future. So I think we should savor every moment we have from Law. I don't think he's going to follow the Straw Hats from island to island and all that kind of stuff. At least for the next arc. I think at least for the next arc, he needs some kind of time to recuperate and all that type of shit. But maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. In any case, this is One Piece. We have One Piece durability. We've seen goddamn Whitebeard do crazy feats. And my whole thing is Law is not a weak character, so this really shouldn't be that big of a problem. At least in my opinion. Yeah, but in any case, some people aren't too happy about it. I personally don't find any problem with it. What happened next? What else is there to talk about? Oh yeah, I would like to talk about Law's plan and what he did in this chapter. Now, long ago, this was kind of foreshadowed. In the underground, when Trouble got pissed and he destroyed a ship and all that kind of stuff, it was foreshadowed that he had a bad temper. Now, I did think that this would come into play, but at that point in time, I thought that Usopp is gonna deal with Trouble and all that kind of shit. So I long forgot about all of that stuff because we haven't really got to focus on Trebol. And Oda brought it back in this chapter. And I think, Law, realized this or remembered it or whatever, and he capitalized on it really well. And he just abused Trebol's short temper. He got the best of Trebol, and unfortunately for Doflamingo, he wasn't able to stop Trebol from acting like a complete moron and costing them pretty much everything. Because once Trebol caught Luffy, it was a wrap. Luffy couldn't do anything. Doflamingo was about to kill Law, and killing Law would have been a big blow, a huge blow. But alas, Law flipped the tables, turned the tables around, and it looks like we're gonna get a fair, uninterrupted one-on-one between Doflamingo and Luffy, in the upcoming chapters. Now, um, I have some theories on how Law and Luffy are gonna survive, and Doflamingo, but I'll save that for my prediction video, which I will eventually make. So my question for you guys this episode is, what are your theories on how these three characters are gonna survive? Because I think Trouble is done for. Once he blows that place up, he's not surviving. I would like to point out, because I think some people are gonna jump to this conclusion, Sabo is not gonna save them, not yet, because he still has to deal with whatever it is that Koala was telling him about. Because Koala was nowhere near the top of the palace, so whatever she's telling Sabo about that she needs help with, he has to deal with that first before coming to help Luffy. That's if he chooses to do that. So yeah, it's not going to be Sabo. What are your opinions on the chapter, and how do you think these three key characters are going to survive this explosion? That's pretty much it for this video. Sorry for a few brain farts, but straight off the top as usual. Thank you for chilling all the way to the end. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, thank you guys for watching.